Welcome, I'm Chris Lord-Alge, and you have entered the Twilight Zone. So the only way out of this zone is with a final mix, and it's going to be created by me here today at my studio, MixLA. So welcome aboard. So I'm here with Pure Mix, and we're going to show you what we do. Inside of Pro Tools, inside the box. I'm in front of my console, but that's just so I have something to lean on. And I have my monitors, which I'll be looking at my screen and working on this track. The track is called Indestructible. It's by a duo from Dayton, Ohio, named Vi Foley. So I've heard this song maybe for 20 seconds, and I like to go into the unknown and make it happen from there. So here we are with Indestructible. When I get sessions delivered to me, I prefer them at 4824 or 9624. That's the rate we use, because since we mix to 9624, I prefer the master to be 4824. Most people send me stuff, it's at 4824. If we get something that's 44, which doesn't really happen that often, we upconvert it to 48 rather than change everything to 44. Okay, so that's what we have to do here. So we're going to save a session copy as a 48K 24-bit session. So as soon as I get the session at the value I want, which is 4824, one of the first things I'm going to do is put my bus in. Reasoning why is I want to put my bus compressor in. I want to get a sound for the 2-track as a start point. I don't want to do the 2-track bus compressor thing later, okay? I want to have the CLA mix down bus in there. I'm not going to mix with zero thing on the bus compressor because I already want to have some colorizing to my mix. So the first thing we'll establish is an aux, and then a master fader. The reason we use an aux is because the aux is pre-fader. The master is post-fader. The master fader in Pro Tools being post-fader, if you put a compressor in there and you fade it, well, guess what happens? The threshold drops and then the compression changes. By putting an aux pre-master fader, no matter where you ride those faders for your final level, your compression stays the same. So that's what we want. That's what I'm used to. That's what works for me. We have our aux and our master, and we're just going to put in the middle spot, we'll put the CLA mixdown. CLA mixdown is my emulation of my 2-track mix bus off my console. Right there at the preset, we're going to start with that. And then as we look at the session, I will arrange the session exactly how I'll arrange an analog session, okay? Which is very simply, which will be vocals, guitars, drums, bass, and I'll kind of hinge it with the keyboards. Now, since we're straight box, I may go all keyboards, vocals, guitars, and drums and bass. And like percussion will be the last thing on the screen. Why I do this is really simple. Some guys want drums first. Some guys want the glockenspiel first. Okay, I prefer the tuba first. But the reason why we put it first is you want to know when you look at the screen, what's top, what's bottom. So organizing your session for mixing is completely based on how you like to lay it out. Having a vertical mixing routine makes it so you park certain things a certain way. Like I want the vans here, the cars here, and the motorcycles here. If you're always putting it in the same vertical routine, that takes a bunch of the guesswork out of it, all right? And guesswork, you don't want to be guessing when you're mixing because you're trying to make art. So anyway, we're going to look at what's in the session. I don't even have to hear it. I don't care about hearing it. I just care about where it's parked so I can manage it, right? The first thing we'll do is we'll group the audio together that's common, like drums, guitars, whatever. Nick is my assistant, has been since 1922. We look young still, don't we? So we're at it. We're at it for a while. So, yeah, we mixed the Happy Birthday, the original version. And Bing Crosby's White Christmas was done in here. I mixed direct to 78. But here today, it's Indestructible by a duo from Dayton. I'm looking at the screen right now. I'm looking at drums. So, Nick, let's scroll down and see what else we got. There's our bass. There's our guitars. There's guitar clean. There's something that says audio too. That's an intro synth. Some synths. Okay, bridge synth. Let's take all the vocals and slide them up and put them above the drums right now. We'll park everything first, and then we will color code them in our color. Organizing it makes the most sense. In this scenario, we might even do some commit comps, which makes it so my vertical screen isn't the World Trade Center. It's more like, wow, if it's 20 stories, I can see it. If your session is the tallest building in the world vertically, then it's really hard to navigate. If there's situations where you can make some comps that are kind of indestructible, then it makes more sense when you're trying to navigate the session. If you have 100 tracks of backgrounds that are going to be a stereo pair, well, let's just make it a stereo pair and get rid of those 100 floors, okay? So I kind of look at this vertical session as a building. And taller is not better. The shorter you can make it is better. So if I can make it to be like 40 faders, even better. So here's our vocals. We look at that, okay? Nick will color them our color code. For me, I want to make it so, okay, the lead vocals, we put those first, and then we line up the backgrounds in order of how often they sing. And line them all up, and I like blue for vocals. Blue for vocals, green for guitars, red for drums, purple for bass. There might be a few shades in between, so you can differentiate if you have a lot of stuff. I leave it up to you. You can all have your own colors. There's a bunch of colors up there, so I just try to pick the basic colors so it's easy to spot. And once you've done 10, 20, 100 songs in a certain color scheme, it's easy to know that anything green is a guitar, anything red's is drums, and anything purple's bass. So have I perfected it? No. Do I get into all the shading? You know, it can get confusing, so I'd rather have less is more. So Nick is just moving all the keyboards above the vocals, and we'll see what we have to do to accompany that. So then we have the vocals, right? I see a lot of backgrounds. Even before hearing it, I look at the waveforms and I look at similarities. A lot of what happens here is the more you hear it, the worse it gets, okay? So keep your listening minimal so you don't lose what the song is about. So we look at the files, look at how we can park them, and look at how we can make the vertical challenge. To me, the vertical challenge is when I'm done, I want to look off the roof and not be really scared when I see the ground. Then when I scroll up and down the screen, it's like, wow, this is a lead vocal, some stereo backgrounds. There's no advantage to having stuff spread out that you're not going to manipulate individually. That's the secret. And if it's something you're going to manipulate, set it and forget it, then hey, build it in and it's over. I don't want to struggle with the song. How we got there, Nick?
Sorted.
All right, look at that. See, okay, let's go top to bottom and see what we got. We got an intro synth, audio one, all right. Why don't we just name that intro synth, that audio file, just for us? There you go. Let's scroll down. There's our synth pile. Then it looks like we have chorus vocal, verse vocal with no overlaps, right? And the double, right?
Yeah,
So it kind of looks like a double thing and a bridge. And then we have the BV stack. Let's scroll down there. And then we have some guitars. Okay. And then we have chorus tasty. Isn't that nice? Then we have kick drum, snare sample. Then we will make the drums how we like them, right? Bass drum in, bass drum out. BD par. Like John Parr, kick sample.
There might be some parallel stuff.
We'll start by organizing our drums. The way they have it laid out is different than how I want to have it laid out. Let's just make kick sample and then snare top. So we're going to organize the drums and do it kind of like I normally do. So kick sample, snare top, and then the toms. They got some 3 toms and a whole party of toms. We'll put those there. And then we'll look for overheads. They got them in there. And we have overheads, and then we'll put the room tracks. I'm going to organize the drums the way I like to see them. I'm so used to having them a certain way. Kick, snare, toms, overheads, room. Then from that point, it could be some samples or hi-hat ride. Then we start spreading out the extra stuff to just go through. And then if it's tracks we're not going to use, hide and make inactive. So we're going from here down to as much as we can, right? What we're going to do now is translate how I work analog into a digital world. So we're going to create some internal auxes. So we'll start with the keyboards. Now I'm going to use aux numbers that correspond to what I'm used to. Because, as I said, routine is important here. You can use whatever aux numbers you want. But for me, I'm going to use aux numbers I'll know when I think of as keyboards. I know this is drums, this is guitars. So Nick, my assistant here, will help me with that. We're going to take the keyboards that look like they could work together. This is without hearing it. It looks like the first 3 pairs up top will go to 9 and 10.
Okay.
And we send those to an aux because we may treat them the same. And if we do, and if they work, guess what they become? A pair. In a perfect world, we could pare this thing down where you could almost walk off the top floor. So below it, below what says Trippy Synth, we will put a aux 9 and 10 and then feed it back to 1 and 2.
Comping low and trippy then?
It looks like all that could become a pair, right? God knows it could probably all become a pair, doesn't it? But if you look at it, only comp here, right, is this rip synth and this bridge synth.
Assuming low and trippy are playing the same thing and the 2 chorus synths are doing the same thing.
Let's just start by outputting them to 9 and 10 and the ones below 11 and 12.
Want me to use SSL in the name?
Yeah, of course. We're going to use SSL because it's good voodoo.
Okay.
And we'll do the same thing for that next batch because it looks like...
These 4?
Actually, check out, see Rip and Bridge look like they could go in with the 9 and 10 pack. Part of what you're doing is you're taking puzzle pieces and you're looking at waveforms. And if it says keyboard, you're saying, okay, if this plays here and that plays there and this plays here, if there's no overlap, right? So let me just park them all together, okay? So if none of it overlaps, we can output it to the same pair. And then if there's sonic changes, we can do it internally, right? So visually, it looks like these guys will work, right?
So add these to 910?
Yep.
Cool.
And then maybe, Nick, just for a visual, we just see the thing that says bridge synth, make it just the region for the bridge, right? And not that. There you go. Love that. And even the rip synth, you could get it out of the bridge so we know it's only playing that section. Okay, so we've gotten that together. Perfect. Now we have another bunch of synths. We're going to make those 11 and 12. So same pattern. We select the 4. We create a aux below it. We call it 11 and 12 SSL. Why it's SSL? Because what is this? An SSL. So for me, I'm emulating my auxes that I use in the console, in the box. We're going to output all my auxes to one stereo bus in the desk. And then also what we do in our comments window, we mark what's going to what aux. So what Nick does right here, see, he marked that all those tracks are going to a stereo pair. Okay. This way I can literally only grab that one fader. Okay. And then if I get a comp I like, I'll commit it and then I have one pair. And then I've gained a few tracks. So I think you're getting this part of the conversation. Then we scroll down to the vocals. We have the synths done. There's some comments that are existing there. Where do you think those are?
Tracking notes, it looks like.
Since we're not tracking, we're mixing, we can ditch all that. Just by looking at it, Nick, we'll do the same thing. We'll create some auxes for our vocals. This way, I can process them as a group. You could sit here and put plugins on every one of these tracks, and before you know it, doo-doo-doo-doo, you've run out of power. We're going to try to use the least amount of plugins we can get away with to accomplish the same goal. If the lead vocal is on 6 tracks and it only is on 1 track at a time, why use 6 limiters? I have one great limiter I have in my rack that I love for vocals, so why have it all these multis? We will take everything lead vocal, everything that looks like a double, put those out to their own auxes. I use 17 for the lead vocal, 18 for the double. For all I know, this could be the 2 singers separate. Just visually looking at it, it looks like those parts are separate. That was quick, Nick. He is quick, so you just got to watch out. He moves quicker than lightning. The only thing faster than him is, well, act of God. You know, we have that vocal BV, which looks like a verse harmony, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So is the verse a single voice? Yep. Verse is a single voice, correct?
Yep.
So let's move that verse harmony up into the 18 pocket. because my lead vocal's panned up the middle, my vocal doubles panned up the middle, I have a mono verse harmony. That's going to go on my vocal double output because I'm used to that, and it's up the middle. And then after that, I have pairs for backgrounds that are stereos. So after my lead vocal double, then we figure out how many pairs of vocals am I going to need.
Looks like I might have found 2 more leads and doubles here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those look like leads and doubles, the chorus hook, yep. And then I see something else that's following it down, the vocal BV duplicate also. One very important thing that we're not going to spend a million years doing, but naming the tracks to make sense. Verse, bridge, chorus. How about chorus low or BV low, okay, or BV low chorus? Name it so it's obvious. Name it so it's simple, okay? Not guitar 20-074. What Nick and I do is we go through the session, we look at what's our lead vocals, we look just visually. We're not even listening to the song, but we can visually kind of figure it out. What about this vocal BB dupe down there at the bottom?
It's the 3rd mono track for that answer-looking part in the chorus.
Oh, okay.
So it's either a harmony or a triple.
Okay, because it looks like it's happening in a different place. So it's not going along with the thing you moved, right?
It is going along with the things that I just moved, yeah.
Yeah, right. But it's a 3rd track, right?
I grabbed these 2.
Right. So it's a triple?
Or a harmony, yeah.
Okay, so that's going to have to go up the harmony hole. So look at how many backgrounds we have. Now we've thinned it out. We have 2, 4, 6, and then 8, and we got some uh-ohs. So let's make these chorus vocals, let's make them all 19 and 20.
These here?
Yep, and we'll balance that internally. Let's take that whole chunk, right? That looks like a 19 and 20 here. And even the pre-chorus 3 backgrounds and pre-chorus 4 can go in that bundle too.
Okay.
And then these uh-ohs can be 21, 22. The reason I'm using these numbers is because of routine. Okay, because on my console, lead vocal 17 and 18, 19 through 24 can be backgrounds. 25 through 32 is guitars. Drums start at 33, up to 48, up to 56. Keyboards are 9 through 12. It's going to vary a little bit here today because I'm not going to have to output the drums to outputs, right? But I'll create like a subgroup for them.
So you said uh-ohs 21, 22?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll figure out where to put this one little oddball BV. By knowing that you have it set up for pairs, it actually starts to de-stress you on the whole, oh my God, there's so many channels here. Because then you can actually solo the parts, make a balance individually, and then once you do some individual balances, then you can start working on the global balance of the whole record. We have all the vocals kind of parked at a start point. Let's scroll down further.
Just this one.
Oh, yeah. You want to put I think the Dingleberry might be best served on the 1920 bucket.
Cool.
Dingleberry means an odd man out. So then, once that's done, we scroll down the guitars. See, we got some green guitars. So the first pair, 25, 26. We got middle guitar. I wonder if that's a triple. Well, it kind of looks like a triple, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We may just want to LCR it then. So we'll make all 3 of those 25 and 26. We have a melody. We have a tasty. We got some clean. It's just matching up parts, like parts, that will work. We've got 3 to 2 now, and we'll see if there's anything in between. Only thing to be in between is there's an intro one, which there isn't. Then we have another set of pairs. Well, we have that clean melody, don't we? That's going to be best served in the next pair. So let's take the next bunch down, right? Guitar rhythm and the clean melody, 27, 28. But you know what? Verse tasty might be a better match. What do you think? Because we can put guitar melody with chorus tasty with as a mono track, right?
That all seems true, yeah.
Yeah, we'll put verse tasty up there. Haven't used the word tasty in a while, except tasty cake. That's a New York thing. So verse tasty and our chorus rhythms look like they don't overlap, right?
It's clear, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. We blow up the waveforms, look a little bit bigger. So it looks like our cleans can be our 2930. It's all about piecing the puzzle together and saying, okay, where's a hole and is something playing in the hole? Because when you make music, why does everything have to be so separate, right? As we're scrolling through, we're making another set here. How about that pre-guitar? Does that fit in with the 2728 bucket? Is that in the hole?
Looks good.
Let's pop it in there. Okay, so we found parking. So that's now 5-2. That'll be a mono. We'll probably stereoize it. Then we have one more pair. The 2930s will be the guitar clean, right? And then I guess we could put chorus tasty in that bundle also. So I guess guitar, all those will become those 6-2 again.
Put these other two in there as well?
Yeah. Does it have an overlap there?
You got these two here and then these three here.
Right. It's clear in the front, but not in the end. But chorus tasty is fine though, right?
Chorus tasty and guitar clean look good.
So let's put chorus tasty up with it. And then, we'll put guitar melody at the bottom of that list and just see if those work together.
So starting at 2930?
There you go. Perfect. And then, put the tasty 2 in that.
Tasty 2 as well?
Yep. Tasty 2 will be 2930 for those guys. We'll see if that works. Obviously, you do a visual thing, right? And then when you hear it, you're like, oh, okay, that's not going to work. It can be even less. I love when it's less, okay? So we've gotten that sorted. That's great, all right? Then we will just do the toms 3536 bus, right, Nick?
Sure.
I'm not sure what this extra set of toms are, but I have a funny feeling that they probably could all work together. If they're the same, we could probably paste them to those other tracks.
Do you want me to just paste them or see if they're the same?
Let's paste them. Let's get rid of the 3 faders. We'll leave the grayed out stuff in there in case it's a mistake. That gives us some room. All the other stuff we leave. Now, if we scroll down past room, let's see what else we have in the drum department. Let's see everything drum. So we have some drum par. Wonder what drum par is.
It's like there might be a kick, snare, and drum parallels.
Right. Okay. We're not going to want to use any of that. So it doesn't look like it's different parts. So I would take all the parallel stuff out of there because that's their opinion, not mine. And we're all about my opinion here with the drums, not theirs. I wonder what that room duplicate is, or the overhead duplicate.
There's some kind of overdub thing happening. I don't know if it's cymbals. It's just overhead and room. Something happens down here, too.
Right, so we have like a little pocket of fruit going on there, don't we?
Looks like cymbals.
So let's see. After the room, let's go hi-hat, snare, bottom.
Room is mono for what it's worth.
Oh, their main room is mono?
Yep.
Okay. Good to know. Right, because their other room isn't duplicated. So then, after the snare bottom, we will go to snare sample. We'll hide the live kicks and probably won't even need them, right? And then we have those 3 things, which is a reverse splash, overhead dupe, and we'll just leave those as sitting. Then we have a whole bunch of bass going on here. And the DI is muted.
Deliver deactivated, yep.
Okay. Oh, we have an overdub too?
2 that are called overdub.
Right, okay.
Or unless this is overdrive. This does seem to be the same performance.
Yeah.
Must be overdrive on the first.
So it looks like a separate bass part, right?
The bottom one does.
Oh, the overdub, right.
This might be overdrive.
So we're going to take those 4 basses and, you know what, let's just run them to a stereo. Let's make it 13-14. So I can put 1 plug in for all and then balance into it. Beautiful. And the bass overdub, we will just leave as a solo guy. And that's the bottom of the mix. There's no percussion.
There's those cymbal overdubs, reverse splash, and reverse snare. As
Oh, that's it. All right.
Non-drum kit stuff there.
Want to just color that another shade in between red and purple, just for laughs? There you go. Why don't we output that to, let's just output that to 4748.
You want to have the reverses in with presumably crashes?
I mean, we can leave it separate. You know what? We're not going to a console. We'll leave those four separate. We're going to see what they do first, right?
Sure.
It may not even be a problem. Yeah, the reverse, is there a snare reverse? Got it.
I'm guessing,
All right.
yeah.
We'll leave that. We'll scroll back up to the top of the screen. Okay. Now we've pretty much gone through it and visually put some puzzle pieces together. The next thing we're going to jump into is seeing what the drums sound like, because I'll start there with my foundation of the record and seeing if there's what else I have to do.
Pull all the faders down or no?
I think I just have all the faders at 0 and we'll just mute everything but the drums. Let's start there. And then we'll look at our panning, right? I think your panning's been done because you did the bus, right?
Toms are panned. Everything else is mono. I haven't listened to see. Based on the way one pair of the toms is panned, I guess just drummers. It's currently hi-hat middle. I haven't listened to the overheads yet.
We look and see if it's audience or, audience or drummer's perspective. So is Tom 1 left from them?
For this group, it was, yeah. This group had 3 in the middle or something.
All right, we're gonna go with that. We'll put, since it's Tom, we'll put hi-hat left. And then we'll overhead stereo, obviously, right? And everything else up the middle.
Yep, confirm here, yep.
We're going to check our stereo bus because a lot of this has to do with gain structure. We can just play just the drums. I want to see how hard it's hitting the bus before I even do anything to it. Let me just solo the kick sample. I just want to hear what their live kicks sound like for a second before I just put their live kicks next to the sample right now. I just want to hear if it's salvageable. We basically, before we not use something, we pick a reason why. So we're going to check out the live kicks. So for this, we will leave them in there and leave them like that and see what happens. Let's put some SSL plugins. I like the channel strip. This is what I know in my head sonically and visually what I like it to sound like. We're going to put the SSL E channel strip across all the drum tracks. So then I'll just start going through and doing some EQs. The bus looked good, so you can close the bus window. We'll play it one more time. Play me what you have. I want to see what's coming back to me, what it looks like. Just bring the master down -3. So what I'm doing now is I want to set up my gain structure for monitoring. Since the output of Pro Tools might be hotter than what I'm used to, I want to make sure that I'm seeing like 0 VU or less on my meters. If it's pounding, then I'm not I'm not hearing what I should be hearing to these speakers, so level-wise. So I kind of want to get a frame of reference. So we might be adjusting the master output level as we go, and it might get hotter and hotter. How it's feeding my bus compressor, I'm okay with right now. Okay, you know, part of the process here is before I start manipulating everything and think it's a different song, let me hear the rough of the song I'm actually mixing. This will give me a frame of reference on where I'm going here, because right now, I got the bus filled with passengers. I need a destination. So let's find out where we're going.
When we hit the stage, those bright lights turn on and the crowd gets a little louder. I will have you frozen, wrapped and tangled. The place heats up when we grab the mics. The beat drops down and the people move a little faster. I feel myself becoming indestructible. I'm not ever like this. I wanna feel your body next to me. My right from wrong is hazy. My eyes are on you till you turn me down. We need to heat it up. Let's blow the roof off of this club. When we hit the stage, those bright lights turn on and the crowd gets a little louder. I will have you frozen, wrapped and tangled. The place heats up when we grab the mics. The beat drops down and the people move a little faster. I feel myself becoming indestructible. You're leaving me distracted when you run your fingers through your hair. I don't know if I like this. I can't overlook you in the crowd. We need to heat it up.
So by looking at the rough and looking at the audio files, I see, okay, here's some questions that are getting answered right away.
When we hit the stage, those bright lights turn on and the crowd gets a little louder. I will have you frozen, wrapped and tangled. The place heats up when we grab the mics. The beat drops down and the people move a little faster. I feel myself becoming indestructible. When we hit the stage, those bright lights turn on and the crowd gets a little louder. I will have you frozen, wrapped and tangled. The place heats up when we grab the mics. The beat drops down and the people move a little faster. I feel myself becoming indestructible. I see your eyes, I know they want me. You know I want you to take my hand and lead me somewhere alone with you. We need to heat it up. Let's blow the roof off of this club. When we hit the stage.
Big hole there. You could talk a whole conversation in that hole. Okay, so it continues with what we think, with what we heard in the other courses. So we're good with the rough. Take a brief listen, get an idea what's happening, see a couple things I want to change right away. So we'll stop that and go back to our regular session. Let's just go to like whatever, chorus 1 and play our drums and solo and see what we got. Now, let's see, is this room track even sexy at all? Clip gain that room track out about 12 dB up. So I don't have to push the faders to the roof. Let's look at some levels here and see what needs to be gained. So Nick will use a gain plugin to look at some of these things. Really helps ballpark it, and he's like spot on with getting these levels tweaked. It helps get our levels to be almost a tracking situation. So back to the drums again. what we'll do now, let's see how quick and dirty we can just put the lunars in there. We have a sample kick and a sample snare.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do a little sound replacing and put a couple of my samples in there to help it. Since there's already samples in there, adding samples to it's a little quicker. Oh, we just took a slight pause to do a little bit of housework there by adding some samples. So next I will be assigning my drums, just reconfiguring a little bit what I have. I put my CLA kick in, a CLA kick room, a CLA snare or two in there to help it out. So we'll look at laying out our drums. We will go with my dry kick, and then we'll move the room out of the way. So dry kick, dry snare, and we'll move the snares out of the way also. We'll find some places for those. So just out of force of habit, I always put my snare drums after the room. I'm okay by doing it just how you have it. So we can go kick room, and then snare and snare two, right?
Killer. And then on to hat and bottom. Or do you want bottom after the...
And then we have hat and bottom just how you have it. That's perfect. I've eliminated their live kick now that I've realized it, and I'm not going to use his sample. Since you know I work on an SSL, everyone knows that CLA works on a SSL 4K. Well, when he's mixing in the box, wouldn't he try to emulate that? Well, yes, he does. As you see in the session, what's the plugin across every channel? An SSL channel strip. I put that there because I'd rather have it on all of them to start with, and then I can delete the ones I don't want. It's because it's a go-to sound I like. It's ease of operation. It gives me a compressor gate EQ very simply. So even though there's another 100,000 plugins I can use, I'm going to start with these because crafting a song that's making it sound good is more important than scrolling through lists and trying plugin after plugin until you forget about what the song is. I'm going to get my drum balance here now.
Do you want to see your mix down on input or anything for metering while you build your balance?
Yeah, okay. Perfecto. Oh, nice. Okay. I'm trying to see. This is both says SO1. So they go wide mix. Wide mix is fun. Extra wide mix. There you go. That'll work. So I'm just going to pull these down a little bit, and we're going to look and play that chorus for us. We look at the kick and snare dry versions first before we add the seasoning. So I'm done with the dry kick and snare. So what I'll do next is I'm going to start feathering in the overheads. I'll see what the room sounds like. Once I get once I get the regular kick and snare, which is the dry kick and snare, I'll see what my additional parts do adding around it. This is just a rough start point because then once I get the track, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to get bigger or meaner or whatever with it, right? Rather than explain every track, if you watch, you'll see, okay, with the overheads, we're going to try to do some compression and maybe do a little EQ. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to season in the other parts after our kick and snare dry. So get a basic balance and realize that we want to use a reverb send here. So we're going to set up a quick drum reverb. I'll use send 2. Create an aux return using a drum reverb. One that I like is the Manny's reverb, Manny Mannequin. His verb is very good. Very easy to use, very simple, sounds great. We'll set that up so I can do some individual sends from the drum kit. Now, this reverb also may get some other things in the record, so it'll be like our number 2 reverb in the record. 100% wet, and we'll make it medium room. We'll just flip over to the room spot. Let's put an SSL EQ after that, just so I can modify it. Cool. Beautiful. So maybe bring the return level down over here to -10. If I'm going to add a reverb to drums, I'm not going to do the dry kick. I'm not going to do the dry snare, okay? Maybe the toms a little bit. Not the overheads either, because then it's washy cymbals, right? So probably just the rooms and the samples, because I don't want the cymbal wash and the hi-hats getting all messy. So I just want the samples to get hidden and feel like I just want it to sound like the greatest drum room track ever, right? So that's what we're going to try here. And one more time.
I have to fix one thing I saw. This mono was panned because I copied it. Where's the send? Get that up the middle.
So now we're just looking to see what drum reverb is working. Just trying to get the character of the reverb and the length of the reverb to feel right with these drums. We're not even going by what preset makes any sense. What we're doing is just kind of fishing around and see what's reacting off my drums better, right? I'll make sure I have sends, right? Actually, I only have a send from the one right now, so I'll send from my samples, right? And then this one, right? All right, so those are all being sent, correct? And same with this, right? Now we're all good. Everybody's going. Since I know I'll probably have these back a little bit, I'm still fishing for what's going to be my reverb sound here. So play it. I'll try some EQ on it. So right now I picked the drum reverb I like. If you see on the screen, it's Manny's Large Room, which I just made a little bit shorter. Because the song's pretty open, I wanted to have a little more decay time. So just an EQ and rough that in, no pre-delay. So this is kind of a short room, emulating what I like here, I use in my room. So I'll start with that and see what that does. We'll check our hi-hat, which is really ugly. I just noticed how dark and crappy it is. When you close mic a hi-hat, it's so much proximity and so much low end because there's so much pressure coming off of it. So we thin it out considerably because it's just there to season the taste with the kit. As I listen to, I'm trying to notice where the hi-hat's coming from in the overhead. Hi-hat's coming from the right, so we pan her back over here and feather it in. We found the orientation with the hi-hat. Let's just make sure our tom orientation is the same. So we're going to just play that spot.
So reversing the toms then?
Yep, reversing the toms for sure.
Great.
We have our drums kind of temped in, the panning's right. That's always the first thing to check. So it's audience perspective, which, to be honest with you, if you're mixing live drums, audience perspective is kind of the only way you should go. Have I made it a drop dead rule that I do it that way? Not necessarily, but if it comes drummer's perspective, maybe the drummer wants to put his headphones on and feel like he's playing. So I always ask. So if it came a certain way, it's how they liked it. But if there's no option, then just use audience perspective. So and we're going to go right to the bass and see if we can move him in there. But as I'm doing that, I'm just going to start with what I would do on a bass subgroup, which is what that is. So let's put my CLA bass plugin on there. I'm kind of doing this because I've been getting a lot of songs that people are already using, and I'm like, oh, that does work pretty good. But I'll probably take the chorus off. You can see they like distortion, so it's working for us. So by just feeding it to my plugin, I get a balance on their mics, and then I add into my plugin, and it kind of helps a lot doing that. So let's play some more, same spot. And then while we're thinking about bass, let's just double check where this bass overdub plays and find a home for him. Oh, it's playing in the same spot, isn't it?
Looks like it's through this section, yep.
Okay, so back to that, see what that does. Let's get funky now. It's a disco record. Secondary bass is kind of playing an upbeat. So obviously with that kind of sound, I have to gate it because his finger slides are going to pop out a lot. So I'm trying to avoid too much finger sliding coming out. So I just feather it in. He's not going through our bass bus. He's by himself. So he just needs to be this accent. So we figure that out pretty quickly. What about those other crashes that are going on? Let's figure out that. Chorus 3, are they busier? That's this thing, right? So we do a little fast attack on it to take some of the front off it, so if it gets louder. Oh, it's a mono room version of it?
Yeah.
All right, hide and make inactive that. We're not going to need that. There's a mono room going with this stereo overhead for a crash overdub. That in the scope of things, it's just taking up room we're not going to need. Let's just clip gain that up like 3 more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say play that spot. Let's see. You can probably go 3 more. And let me unsolo that. How about this reverse splashy thing? Is it just a 3-timer?
Into the choruses in the end, it looks
Let's
like.
just check that lead in. Put them out the reverb, the same setting. Copy one of those buses over to that. And let's clip gain them up 6. It's never a bad idea to clip gain it up, put the fader at 0 or -5, clip gain it up till it feels like it's the right level. So your faders aren't all scattered over the screen. 6 more. Beautiful. We'll copy that reverb setting over to the reverse snare drum also. Kind of make it all sound like it's in the same planet. We have generally a bass thing going on, and look at some of the drums. We're getting closer here.